within a week of coming to office. And within 40 days, on 10th of April, a sight which was unprecedented happened. Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani spends his winters in Delhi because Kashmir winters are a bit harsh for him. He's an old man. So on 10th of April, he returned to the valley. This Masarat Alam, who was freed on 8th of March, goes and organizes a welcome procession for him from the airport with Pakistani flags. They come in a procession shouting slogans. Indian dogs go back. Hum kya chahte azadi. Pakistan zindabad. And it culminates into a rally where? In front of police headquarters of Kashmir. It has never happened. In the last 27 years, during the worst phase of insurgency, this sight was never seen. It happened under the coalition government of PDP and BJP on 10th of April. Now, what will our claim of drawing out 75% of the electorate of Kashmir do to us? I mean, what good is that? And what kind of concessions are you giving? I can spend time till evening to list things which are literally a stab in the back of India, which have taken place in the last 2.5 years. For the first time, public funerals of these militants are being staged, lapped up by thousands of people who defy curfew to join them. Why do you allow this? Afzal was buried in Tihad after his hanging, justifiably so. That was done by a namby-pamby government that came before you. If they had these brains, this common sense, why are you allowing this? Because your coalition partner is telling you that let's offer healing touch. The healing touch is such that now Kashmir for the last 90 days is under curfew. The toll is nearing 92 or something. Schools and colleges are shut. Hospitals are barely functioning. Every area of civil society, whether it is Bar Association, whether it is Chamber of Commerce, whether it is Merchants Association, whether it is any other association, is completely Hurriyatized. Openly, bureaucracy is Hurriyatized. Police stations are abandoned. If there is a murder taking place, you don't know where to go and report. In decades, for the first time, BSF has been drawn back into policing duties. This is what you've done in your coalition government.
So, this could be the last question, and we are sure.
And this, is done by the mainstream political parties who fight elections, control instrumentalities of state, and provide cushion to the other two, which is Hurriyat and militants. You read their political philosophies, you will know what they are looking for. PDP came out with a document called Self-Rule. In that document, one of the demands they have is Pakistani currency should coexist with Indian currency in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. In the same document, it says we should have open borders. We should remove all barriers between Azad Kashmir of Pakistan, which is Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, and our Kashmir, so that there is free movement of people. And lo and behold, it goes ahead and it says, and this kind of oxymoron is unprecedented. They say we must have joint control, shared sovereignty. Shared sovereignty. I think political scientists should be indebted for this signal contribution to ideas from Kashmir. shared sovereignty. It is part of their document, and I caught hold of their deputy chief minister under Ghulam Nabi Azad, Muzaffar Hussain Beg. I said, what are you asking for? His response is, but you see what is happening in European Union. They have single currency, euro. They have open borders. So, I said, I rest my case, sir.
Sushilji, this would be our last question. And we understand it could be a bit touchy one, but as people in Mumbai, we'd like to know what's happening towards helping people who've been displaced from Kashmir, and B, what can we sitting in Mumbai do to help them and solve this problem?
See, rehabilitation is a big issue, and it is very often confused with how rehabilitation generally is thought of. When we talk of relief and rehabilitation, what comes to mind are people affected by floods or earthquakes or some epidemic, and for whatever reason they need immediate relief and long-term rehabilitation. So what do? You throw some money, you give some land, you give some assistance, give some jobs. But when we left Kashmir, we had our homes, we had our jobs, we had our lands, we had a life. We left because of lack of security. Nobody is talking of security. Forget security. I am saying, do you have the moral courage to recognize what we have gone through? What are we victims of? I'll give you a very small example, and this will make you, laugh or wonder. In 94, Pakistan moved a resolution against India in UNHRC, Geneva, that India was committing human rights violations in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Pakistan moved that resolution. The then Prime Minister, Shri Narasimha Rao, sent a delegation from here. It was led by the leader of opposition, Pandit Vajpayee. It was assisted by his Minister of State for External Affairs, Salman Khurshid. And it had bureaucrats and parliamentarians and a whole host of NGOs. They presented the case in Geneva along with an organization of Kashmiri Hindus called On Kashmir, which said that if there is a human right violation in Kashmir, it is the genocide of Hindus. Whatever happened with Hindus is actually it meets with the covenants of United Nations as defined by them. And what we are suffering from is a genocide. Our children are growing up scattered all over the world in not the right neighborhoods where they can retain their language, retain their lifestyle, retain their identity, celebrate their festivals, live a life that is at the core of your identity. You're not able to. And they're getting assimilated, they're getting married into non-Kashmiri homes, their children therefore don't learn Kashmiri. In a generation or two, we will be finished as an identity, is my genuine fear. So we don't want to go back to Kashmir because we are nostalgic about temples or because we are nostalgic about our mohalla or ghar. That we are. We want to go back to Kashmir to rebuild our community, to regain that identity which we are fast losing. Another generation and we'll be gone, we'll be namesake Kashmiris. And there is an example of those. Jawaharlal Nehru was a namesake Kashmiri. He's part of the migration that took place 200, 300 years back. They can't speak the language. There are a whole host of them. We call them Purana Kashmiris. So, please, preconditions for our return is recognize what happened to us. It was a genocide attempt. It was to cleanse the entire place of our traces, of our history. And they have succeeded in doing so, despite the fact that we were living under a secular democratic constitution ruled not by an alien, our own government, popularly elected under the sovereignty of Indian constitution. It may be very, very embarrassing, but admit this truth. We will somewhere begin to understand that you have begun to realize what happened there. Don't paper over it by calling it some kind of an agitation and disenchantment or some kind of disaffection against India. No, sir. This is a jihad to break India. It will not stop at Kashmir. Call it what it is. You called it ethnic cleansing in Geneva. And when Pakistan rebutted it and said it is the unfinished agenda of partition, our diplomat T.N. Call stood up and he said, if it is unfinished agenda of partition, then be ready to receive crores of Muslims on railway shacks into Pakistan. That is how Kashmir will go to you. Iran got the message, it withdrew its support, the resolution fell. In 94, On Kashmir delegation came back. We moved NHRC, National Human Rights Commission. Justice Venkatachalaya was heading it those days. We requested him to please, people are calling us migrants. Migrants are migrants. Migrants are not even refugees. Migrants are not even internally displaced people. Please call us by the right name. So he served a notice to the Government of India. Government of India, under an affidavit, responded to NHRC that this is not a genocide or ethnic cleansing, it is a self-imposed migration. It is months after what they had said in Geneva to defeat Pakistan. Internally, they said, shh, chup raho, embarrass mat karo. हम लोग एक ग्रिम बैटल लड़ रहे हैं कश्मीर में, हमारा साथ दो, हमको कटघरे में मत खड़ा करो. क्योंकि अगर हम कहते हैं कि ये जेनोसाइड है, ये इंटरनली डिस्प्लेस्ड लोग हैं, तो हम पर कुछ ऑब्लिगेशंस आती हैं. एज अ सिविलाइज्ड स्टेट, एज पार्ट ऑफ यूनाइटेड नेशंस, वी हैव टू रिवर्स योर जेनोसाइड. We have to punish those who committed this genocide. We are not in a position to do so because right now we are kowtowing to those people. Right now we are trying to curry favor with them. Right now we are trying to win them over. So we had to keep quiet. But we've been keeping quiet for the last 27 years now. It's going to be 28th year, beginning on 19th of January. So, number one, please recognize this as a genocide. Justice Venkatachalaya wrote in his order that it is akin to genocide. Credit to him. He said so, despite government's representation. What have we done about it? Nothing. Nothing. More money has been spent on rehabilitating militants. So we say that first and foremost, recognize that this is a jihad and we are victims of genocide. Number two, please give us justice. The victims of genocide must get justice by giving punishment to those who caused this. If you do not do so, what is the guarantee that in future somebody else may not come up and commit this again? Because these crimes go unpunished, become an incentive to commit those crimes again. Bitta Karate, after committing 36 murders and said, I stopped counting after that, is roaming free. He came out and his wife is a state administrative officer. He is a leader. Yasin Malik, who committed rapes and murders, is an iconic hero. We're saying don't punish all crimes. There are hundreds of murders and rapes and desecrations of temples. We are not saying go after each. Pick up 5 big, self-confessed criminals. That will serve as an example to all. No, sir. Till date, in Kashmir, not a single murder, not a single rape, not a single taking away of property or desecration of temple. Not a single crime of violence against Hindus or genocide has till date been either prosecuted, convicted, or sentenced. Not one even as an exception. It's 27 years. In the neighborhood, Bangladesh is executing its war criminals. Is their criminal justice system superior to ours? Is their democracy superior to ours? Are their principles of justice, secularism superior to ours? So you need to, as a second prerequisite, deliver justice. And 3, you give us a secure enclave in Kashmir where we can live together and rebuild a community. We don't need your charity. We are a community who rebuild ourselves after we were thrown out. We can go rebuild a place there of our own. And let me, in fact, if this state, if this government, if our polity really means what it says, I propose from here today, build the summer capital of India in Kashmir. Build a new smart city there. Go assert your nationhood right there as your capital. This is what Israel has done with Jerusalem. If you really mean that you and Kashmir are in